Hello, this is Jody back from Jody's Gems Quilting, and I wanted to share today with all of my new customers, my students, people who bring me quilts to long arm quilt for them. I taught a lot of my students, but we kind of forget, and I have new people coming to me all the time, so I thought I would do some just basics to help make your journey into finishing your quilt really good. So I'm going to go through all the tips, hints, and things that you want to make sure that you have ready to go before you bring me your quilt, or any long arm quilter, whoever you take it to, or even if you're quilting it at home. A lot of this is definitely necessary. Just in case you're interested in any of the designs you see, my website is jodysgemsquilting.com. That's 2 J's and 2 S's. This is one of my designs, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So one of the things that you want to make sure you do is make sure that you measure your borders before you put them on. So all of your borders, your top, everything should lay nice and flat all the way through your quilt. It's pretty hard to get a wonky quilt, unless it's an art quilt or something that's really unique. But for the most part, most of our quilts are going to be and should be nice and flat. There shouldn't be a lot of waffles and wiggles in there. Another thing that I encourage you to do is to look for loose threads. I made this quilt, and I still find threads that have come through from the back when I was piecing it together, little lint and fuzz balls. So just clean up your quilt. Now, if you have white fabric in your quilt, did you see that? There's another one in there. If you have white fabric in your quilt and you're piecing all of your threads and different things, like if you had a black thread behind it, you want to make sure to get all these clipped off if there's a white fabric. I'm not going to worry about it on the black because it's not going to show through. But if I had a white fabric, absolutely. We call those varicose veins, and you know how wonderful you want those. Not. So you want to clean up all of your threads on the back of your quilt. When you piece your tops, you piece everything together. If you use tails, leaders, and enders at the beginning and end of every chain, you will avoid a lot of threads. I had to clean up my mom's quilt one time. It was a queen size quilt. It took me an hour and a half to clip all the threads off the back and to clean up the front. So please make sure that you do that. I can do it, but it'll cost you extra. So I'm just trying to find ways to save you money. So we're back to this quilt. This is my crazy 9 patches. I really like the crazy 4 patches. This is the 9 patches, but if you like to make 9 patches, you'll love it. I've been teaching it a lot lately as we're making a lot of comfort quilts for the hospitals, and all of my friends love it. So what you want to do is when you make a quilt, this is obviously not put together yet, but it's a great example. I delivered over 30 quilts last week, so I don't have a lot of samples left to show you. But if you have a quilt with a lot of seams in the border, I encourage you to stay stitch. Remember back in the old days, we would stay stitch our sleeves and seams and things. And I just encourage you to start over here, stitch all the way around. Don't pull it, just keep it nice and even. And then come down here, skip down, and stitch the next section, skip down. You don't have to do the entire quilt, but you can. But anyway, so do that, and that way all those seams will make sure that they stay together. And if you have, depending on your sewing machine, sometimes the seams do pull apart. If they pull apart, there's no way they're going to stay together when I quilt it. So I just encourage you to check your seams, make sure all the seams are stitched completely to the edge, to the end. And that has a lot to do with the type of sewing machine. Every single machine is a little bit different. Some have a better locking stitch than others. So make sure you stay stitched around it if you have seams. Make sure your blocks, all your seams are nice and flat. This one's nice and flat, as you can see. And that just means that all your seams are going one way or the other. Even if you screw up like I did there and you have it flipped a little bit, just make sure that it's pressed really good so that it will lay nice and flat when I go to quilt that, or when you go to quilt it, or whoever. So when I was talking about putting your borders on, measuring first, doing all that, that's part of my beginning quilting class. But you can figure that out on your own if you don't live near me and you can't take my classes. There is, so you want to make sure that your quilt is nice and square, that your edges are square, unless it's truly a unique piece that you're not doing on purpose. I mean, that you're doing on purpose to not make it square. So make sure everything squares up beautifully. To do that, you can use your large rulers. Any of these will work. You can use this one to square it up. I have some other tools too that my students love and my friends. They're like, oh my gosh, where'd you find that? You can also use rulers and butt up several small rulers. You can take your long ruler, lay it down on one side, butt this one up to it right there, and you made yourself a 24, roughly, let me see, 15 and 6, 21 by 24 inch square. And then you just trim up your edges. So bringing it square will be very helpful. Okay, I don't usually have this happen to me like ever. But the other day I do baste the quilt on, I pin it first and then baste it on the long arm. And I ran over one of these and broke the needle, shattered that sucker. Praise God it didn't ruin my tension, but go through and make sure if you're using the old fashioned, just regular pins, most of us use flower head pins, or we use the some kind of pin that we can see when we're done. So just check to make sure you don't have any pins. These are all in here to mark my quilting design. So this is my new pattern coming soon. It's called Mighty Warrior, so keep checking back for it. I got to get it written. And it's all about the sizes. This one, these are all leftovers. I used what I had, but I absolutely love it. And everybody does that sees it. It's just a cute quilt. So this is probably a baby size. But I'm going to make it all different sizes and different size squares with these. You can do them by hand or by machine. It's an applique design. So that'll be coming soon. So the next thing that's really important is to make sure that your backing and your batting is big enough. Lately, for some reason, my students haven't remembered that. When you're quilting it at home on your domestic machine, I usually recommend at least 3 inches on each side. When I put it on the frame system, I'm clamping that down and it goes on the rollers. So we need more. Every long arm quilter needs more. I can't say I can't get by with 3, but if there's ever less than 3, I'm in trouble. So don't even go there, please. Just bring a backing and batting. Check with your long arm quilter. I prefer 5 inches on each side. It's just easier to do the math. So let's say that this quilt is, I don't know what it is, 40 by 50, roughly. So if it's 40 by 50 and I need 5 inches on each side, that'll be a 50 by 60 inch backing and batting. So with that, 50 by 60 inches, can I get that out of a width of fabric at 40 inches, 44 inches? No. I had to piece more. So of course, you go through your stash, you find your piece. Oh, I did not. I'm going to take my chances on this one. Actually, I think it's big enough. But for yours, you bring me bigger quilts, I need them bigger. I really thought this was pieced. So what I was going to show you is, I guess I was going to quilt this and I didn't look at it close enough the other day. I will probably have to piece something in here. And we take the selvages off. So I usually snip and rip, and that will give me a straight edge. Oh, I know what I was doing with this. So you will see how it's even at the top? At the bottom, that's what I knew I had a reason to this purpose. I have 10 inches more, roughly. 10 inches more added. I'm going to turn it this way on the frame. When I get a chance, I a lot of times like to do it the other way. The design doesn't matter. It's not a directional design, and I don't have to have it top to bottom like stars. Stars go every which way. So I can get by with that. So when I load this, it's going to be loaded just like this. Whoop. It's going to be loaded sideways. And I do that quite often. I don't have to roll it quite as often. Let me get that down here. Okay, so it's going to have a little bit at both sides. I will drop it down and start the quilt probably around right here. Does that make sense? I will probably add a little bit to the end just to make sure I can clamp it and it will work on the roller. But as you can see, I will get all the way to the bottom and I'll have that much left. So I can get by with this. I mean, I try to save you as much fabric as I can and batting. So whatever's at the bottom, you get all of your backing and batting anyway. But it should work, but I might add an extra piece just to make it easier to roll it onto, clamp it on the rollers. But anyways, that makes sense. So that's why we need 5 inches bigger on each side. So after you get it pressed, you do not want to fold it back up again. If you know you're coming to see me, and you're going to see me ahead of time or ask me for them, I have plenty of hangers. When we moved here to our new house, it was, I brought 40 charity quilts and I had to buy hangers because I didn't have quite enough. So I take these and I either put them all together on one hanger, if it's small. If it's a big quilt, then I have to use a couple of hangers. But I just hang carefully so I don't have to repress it. I do have a spray I can put on there, but I try not to. But it does work, you know, to take the wrinkles out. So I do this and then I hang it in a closet. In my new studio, I have a massive closet, which is really nice. But you can hang it over a door. You can hang it from the door frame in a doorway. I've done that for years between the dining room and the living room. And the same with the backing. After you get it all pressed, you want to make sure all the folds are out. Everything's pressed. Then you're going to fold it up nice and neat. Put it on a hanger. And you're going to put them together. The other thing that I will do when you come to my house is we will fill out a sheet, and it has all the information with the title of the quilt, the size of the quilt. It'll be all priced out for you unless there's something else thrown in there, you know, which is pretty rare, but sometimes I don't measure correctly. So I'm getting better to make sure that everything's in order before you leave. Then I take the thread that we choose, put that in a baggie. I got one here somewhere, had one here somewhere, and I hang that from the quilt so it's all together. If you want me to do the binding, guess what? I'm requesting that you make the binding, all of it together, put it in a baggie so you have it all stitched together, one great big long piece, fold it in half, wrong sides together, accordion fold it back and forth, okay? Put it in a baggie. That's probably where my thread was. And then you can give it to me. And then I can do that for you. There is an extra charge for that, but I do have girls that are like, I don't want to do it, don't have time to do it, don't want to mess with it. And I don't hand stitch it because I don't have time. But I will be happy to put it on and you can hand stitch it, or I'll put it on and top stitch it, whichever one you want. So then when I get these done, just like this, I have everything ready to go together, including the batting. Let me show you the batting, because this is the next key thing that you will want to do. Okay, so one more thing I forgot before I go to batting. On the backing, as you can see, we were trying to get rid of fabric. I mean, I had people give me fabric. I have a load of fabric, a house full of fabric. So we were just taking fat quarters, trimming them up, putting them together. Well, this backing needed to be bigger for this quilt that I was just showing you. So what I do is I cut it off center. Do you see that this was, pretend that's not there. This was the backing that we already had pieced. This and this. There we go. Just like that. All the way down, 3 by 3, so about 9 fat quarters roughly. Well, I needed it wider because it is longer. Fat quarters are longer, remember, than wider. So I needed to add a piece in there to get it wide enough. So I went ahead and sliced it through the middle, but off center. Can you see that? It's not dead center. I'll never get it centered up. I've paid people a lot of money just to be able to center their quilts, and I can get them pretty close, but not guaranteeing perfection. So then I took, and this was on a scrap pile that I just had cut off of another backing. So I put it right in the middle. So when I go to load this, I'm probably going to load it sideways. I just wanted to show you that if you have one seam in your backing, I'll probably, if I can, turn it sideways if the design warrants that and it works. It's better for the long arm if there's one seam in it going horizontally across the rails instead of vertically. If it goes vertically up and down through the middle, which is very common, happens all the time if you put 3 yards and 3 yards together, you know, by width of fabric to get 88 inches wide by 108 inches long, that will be a one seam down the middle. That I can do it, but it's not ideal because it causes a ridge through the middle of the long arm, and then it's hard to get it all to stay flat. But it can be done, it's just not going to be perfect for you. So I wanted to show you that before I do the batting. Oh yes, did you notice on this backing that the seams are 1/2 inch wide, not your standard 1/4 inch wide, and they're pressed open flat? That's the other key. So try to get your seams a 1/2 inch seam if you can. Sometimes it won't work because you're using leftovers from the front, you know, if you're piecing blocks, and you can piece all over your backing and it will be fine. It's just if you're doing 1 seam or 2 seams, I try to get them to go horizontal if possible. Doesn't always work. Recently I just quilted this one out and it was all llamas. And as you can see, I used 1 fabric, put a seam in it, but I did turn it so that it was like the top of the quilt was on the left, the bottom of the quilt was on the right. And so there's a seam in the back and it would lay flatter that way. So that's what I'm trying to explain, is that's what I will be doing. Hang tight for a minute. Let me go put this away. It's waiting for that quilt to be... Okay, it's time for batting. What happens is I have a roll of batting, and I've bought rolls of batting for years. That's all I've ever used. It's been a long time. I do use some packages, but not very often. So recently, because that quilt, the Mighty Warrior, is all black, has a lot of black in it, I bought a black batting. This is a Hobbs heirloom, and this is the way it came to me. So as you can see, as I roll it, unroll it, it has a lot of wrinkles in it. It was tightly packed in there. So there's no way I can take this out of the package and put it on the long arm. It will be a wrinkled mess. So you have 2 options. So what you're going to do is you're going to open this up. I am not going to open the whole thing, but I'm going to show you because I got to cut it. It's just a little part of that I want. So what I do, this one just came to me today, and it was a package batting. This was one from one of my customers. It's a Pellon product. But as you can see, it does have fold lines in it. Whoop. Where did that go? There we go. See the fold lines? It's not bad. It was packaged pretty well. It wasn't quite so tightly wound up in there. But what I recommend is, and most of the quilters that I know, is you ball it up like this, throw it in a chair, and you leave it there for 2 or 3 days. And then you come back and you fluff it up again another way, and you unroll it, and you just whip it up, and you throw it together, and you leave it on a chair. If you're in a hurry, then I take that and throw it in the dryer on air fluff. Oh, no, my allergies are nuts. Throw it in the dryer on air fluff and fluff that for like 30 minutes. And you may have to play with it a little bit, roll it up and then unroll it and fiddle with it. But that's the best way to get your quilt batting ready to go to the long arm quilter or to quilt it yourself. Now, when you get that done, after a few days or a week or whatever, or just, 30 minutes to an hour, you'll want to take this, fold it up as little as possible. I try to press everything, fold as little as possible. This is a 90-inch long batting, but you can see I can get it the width of a hanger. So then I would hang it over a hanger and hang it up from the top of the door frame. And that way it's ready to go to the long arm quilter. And I package it all together, all 3, the top, the backing, and the batting. Then if I'm storing it for a while, I'm not gonna, like all the quilts I moved here, I bought plastic dryer cleaner bags to go over them. And then I just slip this over the top of the quilt. And even if it's a very long quilt, it's really big. My mom sent me home with some huge, massive quilts for my grandsons. And so I cover them with this, and that helps a lot. Okay, on your backing, make sure that you have either ripped them, the edges, or you cut them so they're straight. I paid a long arm quilter years ago when I was doing a t-shirt quilt for a customer, king size. It was like I'll pay you. You just go ahead and square up the back. So that is an extra fee, but it can be done. If you have a design orientation to the quilt, like you have directional fabric, please let me know that this is the top and this is the top. I will call you or text you if I have any questions at all about that. I had an amazing long arm quilter that flipped a backing on me, and they were directional. So it's upside down, and she thought I wanted it that way. And I'm like, no, never in a million years. She goes, well, some people have it that way so they can fold it down at the top of the bed, and then it's right side up. I said, no, that's I'm OCD. That would drive me nuts. So just to be aware, if you have a design orientation, make sure that you point that out to me and show me. I probably marked it incorrectly, so I do take the blame for that, but I marked it on a hanger. We'll never do that again. So what I was up, either that or she messed it up and got it upside down, but either way, I took the blame for that. Always make sure your selvages are removed on your backing. It's woven differently. It does not lay correctly. It doesn't stretch the same. It's just different. So just something that is really recommended. If you use muslin, I would avoid it. If you can avoid muslin, that's probably your best option. If you're going to use it, make sure you pre-wash it and dry it. It shrinks a lot. Purchase extra. So don't just purchase the amount you need of muslin. Always make sure you get extra. Wide fabrics, your 90 or 108 inch wide. And for some reason, I thought they made backings 120 inches. I could be wrong, but check for that. Always tear the edge that they cut. Because, when they're cutting along, they're not squaring it up for you. I mean, they're not going to do that. They're just going to measure it and cut it because they got a lot of customers to help. So make sure that you rip to get that selvage, the selvages off and the straight edge at the end. Backing, you can do plain or print. I always tell my students forever, if you're quilting it and you're brand new at it and you don't want anybody to see the mistakes, then you use a busy backing, a busy print backing. If it's something that's prize winning, it's like, oh my gosh, this is going to be beautiful, then feel free to use a solid. Let the quilting stand out. Just to let you know, on the thread, I try really hard to have the same color on the top as on the back. And that's just because my tension's always really good, but you never know. Those stitches can pop through the top or the bottom if you use two different colors with high contrast. Let me see. We'll choose your thread together. I have quite a collection, and so we pull them out and we look to see which one will complement your quilt the most. Is it going to stand out, or is it going to blend in really well? I have people ask me all the time what kind of batting to use. What should I purchase? What should I get? What do you have on hand? I usually have 100% cotton, sometimes an 80-20 from Hobbs. It just depends on the best price. When I need a roll of batting, and what do I have on hand? So I try to have that for you. If you're buying package batting, I just try to avoid polyester. I had never quilted on polyester in a very long time, and one of my students brought polyester for her quilt, and luckily it was a small quilt, a baby quilt, but man, did that fabric, it just slides all over the place. It's really hard to keep it together, for it to stick together. Make sure again that your batting is 4 to 5 inches bigger than your top. So whatever your backing is, that's what your batting should be also. If it's a little bit wonky off, it's okay, because it's floating. I float my quilts. I don't directly put any of that. I just put the backing on the long arm and go from there. Edge to edge quilting is what most people like because it's more affordable. And I can give you a price list anytime. Just let me know. Maybe someday I'll get a raise, so it's okay. I'm not going to post that. And custom quilting is always an option. I have been short arm quilting for 20 years, and all I could do was custom. I never had a computer on my machine. We'll choose the edge to edge design together. I have quilted out a lot of samples so that you can look at them and go, oh, I really like this, or I really like that. So we can choose that together. And if you have specific ideas for quilting, please let me know. I'm just not a mind reader. And I'm not afraid of trying new things. And typically, if you want me to do something I have not tried, like a design, some new design, I will always quilt it on a charity quilt first, on a comfort quilt. So just to make sure that I'm comfortable with it and that we're going to like it. Be patient. Give me or give any long arm quilter time. If you're putting it in a show, please let us know. I do my best work all the time, but if it's going in a show, I'm going to make sure it's as perfect as possible. Allow time for pickup, delivery, and you to get the binding done, or me, and labeling your quilt. So if you're giving it as a gift and you have to have a gift done in a week, I can't guarantee I'll get it done in a week. You can't even guarantee you'll get to my house in a week. Quite often I have students that are like, I'm not ready yet. Can I come next week? And I'm like, sure. I try to be as flexible as I can. And shipping, you can ship quilts. That's fine. I've got friends that people ship them quilts all the time to Long Arm Quilt. I can add the binding for you, but I do request, if possible, I can make the binding. It just takes me a lot longer to get to it. And I can do these things, but it's a way to save time and money for you to do it yourself. And it takes, yeah. And there's a charge for all of it. I have a pricing list when you're ready, and even if you don't use me for long arm quilting, it's perfectly okay. There are plenty of others out there that do a fabulous job. And if you send me something I can't do on here, or the quilt is just too big, I will be happy to pass it to friends that can do it for you. So we'll get it done and it'll be beautiful. Thank you so much, and God bless you from Jody's Gems Quilting. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.